Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and iTWire TV interview. I'm joined today by the multi-talented Kate Toon, who not only describes herself as a misfit entrepreneur, but is a business coach, SEO lover, copywriter, podcaster, speaker, author, hula hooper, and was awarded the Businesswoman of the Year at the National My Business Awards in 2020 with huge social media followings. Welcome to the program.
I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, Kate, you have an amazing number of terrifically taut strings to your bow, coupled with an amazing array of arrows in your quiver, along with a brilliant website that teaches people how to build a better business with smart digital marketing. So can you please tell us a bit more about yourself and your products and services?
Yeah, so I've now amalgamated all my businesses under the company Stay Tuned, which is a play on my name. So I got three core businesses. The first teaches copywriters how to be better copywriters. The second teaches small business owners and e-commerce stores how to grapple Google and get more traffic and conversions. And the third teaches people how to use digital marketing to kind of boost their profile and, ultimately make money and have a kind of business that they want to have.
I think I need some of these services myself.
Yeah, you do.
Now, of all the various books that you've written and courses you offer and podcasts that you host, all of which can be found at the katetoon.com website, one of your latest products is a free guide to your first 7 days on Clubhouse, which has been in the news of late. So for those who don't know, what is Clubhouse? What does your free guide teach? And why is Clubhouse the next big thing for small business owners, freelancers, and entrepreneurs?
Clubhouse is like Zoom without the video. So it's really great for introverts who don't want to show their chubby little faces on the internet. It's all audio, and you create rooms where you can have conversations with random people in Iceland, or you can learn about business or how to grow cannabis. Whatever you want to learn, it's on Clubhouse. And for business owners, I think it's a really great opportunity to network. Obviously, we've just come out of 2020. Networking opportunities are pretty few and far between. And, if you're any kind of thought leader or coach or business type, it's a place where you can build that confidence with people. They can know, like, and trust you, listen to your voice. I'm a big podcast fan. Such an intimate relationship, having someone in your ear, usually when they're doing something nice. Clubhouse is like podcasting, but you get to interrupt the host and say, hey, IR11, This American Life, I think this, what do you think? So you get to interact with the host of the podcast. It's lots of fun.
And obviously you can go to the Kate Toon website and download the guide that explains this and teaches people more.
Yeah, there's a strange kind of vernacular on Clubhouse. There's a whole kind of way of speaking and a way to run rooms. And can be a bit overwhelming when you first get on there. And I found it overwhelming. So I thought that first 7-day guide would be useful.
Now, on your site, you explain that you can show how it's possible to create a successful, lucrative, and enjoyable business without having to be everywhere, do everything, and without needing to scale or get investors or even hire a team of minions, presumably on those freelancer type sites. So can you tell us how people can do this, the resources that you offer to learn these skills, the type of success your students have enjoyed, and the types of businesses that they've built?
So especially with the Recipe for SEO Success course, which is the course that teaches people how to grapple Google, I think we all understand that, SEO is a bit tricksy, it's a bit difficult, and SEO consultants don't come cheap. And also it can be a bit of a minefield in terms of getting maybe ripped off or bamboozled by gobbledygook and jargon. So I'm all about it sounds a bit naff, but I'm about trying to empower people. Just even if you get to the point where you understand the language and you understand what's broken on your website, what's not working, whether you then choose to fix it yourself or outsource it, at least you will be outsourcing it with understanding. So really it's about, learning at least the basics. I think as a business owner, you can't just hand your IT and your tech to someone else.
Or even your IP.
Yeah, exactly. Your website is your most important business asset. It's your hub. We're seeing all the time social media sites changing the rules, moving the goalposts. At the time of making this, Facebook have just taken away a lot of privileges. I've seen people lose their Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
So I think making sure that your website is solid and sound and that you are building up a solid reputation online is so important. So really, it's about giving people the skills and the understanding so they can make kind of better choices about what they choose to invest in. They may still choose to outsource their design, their tech, their SEO, but they're not doing it from a point of ignorance. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, if you don't know who you're dealing with, they could be bamboozling you with all sorts of tech talk and, oh, we have to charge you this amount of money, we have to charge you that. And then suddenly, you've got these people reaching into your wallet when really it should be you deciding who you're going to pay, what you're going to pay them, and sort of have that understanding that lets you go to the next level rather than being perpetually behind.
Yeah, it's like when I take my car to the garage, they could say that my flange bracket was broken.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, here's $2,000. So at least knowing that I don't even have a flange bracket would be a good start.
Yeah, a friend of mine always talks about nakatoids and flange plates when he talks about cars. And your flange plate sounds exactly like one of those things. Yeah. We're just like, why is that $5,000? And I just had it replaced last week.
Exactly.
And are there any of your clients that you want to highlight briefly that have?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. One of my students, Belinda, runs a business called Austin Wines, and she completely revamped and rebuilt her website. She's built a brand around the kind of personal family brands around that brand, and she does her Instagram and her email, and she's a member of my Digital Master Chefs community. The chef thing was just a bad creative idea way back, but it's about cooking up good digital strategies you can implement on your own and kind of see the results using the right ingredients and having a good head chef to go back to and say, hey, I tried this and it didn't work. I think that's the really important bit about digital education, because we can go and learn anything on Udemy.
Yeah.
We can watch
or
a YouTube video, like
yeah.
here. Yeah. But the problem is if I get stuck, if the button I press does something different than the button on the screenshot that you pressed, you need to have that person that you can go to and say, hey, what next? What do I do? And also have that backup for if you have a difficult situation in business and you're not quite sure what to do. You've got a nasty comment on Google, or you send an email out to 2,000 people with the wrong discount code in. Having that community of people that can go, this is what I would do, I think could be really helpful.
Well, that's right. Well, it's always, a problem shared is a problem halved. Many hands make light work. And,
it takes a village to grow a business.
That's right. So what are the biggest questions that business owners ask you about when, they seek your services? And what is it that you wish business people understood about the internet in 2021?
I think most people ask me, can't I just buy ads? And I'm like, yes, you can, as long as you have very deep pockets and you're willing to keep paying for them. And so, I'm all about organic content. So I've never paid for Facebook ads or Google ads to promote my content, partially because I don't want to give them my money, but also because I think there's better ways to build relationships. So if I buy an ad, someone might click on it, but they're not truly engaged. I'm more about that kind of long-term relationship than that one-night stand kind of affair. So, people listen to my podcast for a couple of years, or they see my content for a couple of years, and build up that know, like, and trust factor slowly, but it's more solid, it's more real and more loyal.
It's a deeper connection.
Yeah, it's a deeper connection. It's a real connection. It's not just based on seeing a flashy ad or getting FOMO. So yeah, I think the ad question is like, people want a shortcut. Everyone wants a shortcut. And the other thing they ask is, what's the secret? What's the secret to Google? What's the magic juju? And nothing I teach in my SEO course is juju. Everything that I teach is freely available on the internet. Google tells us most things we need to do.
Yeah.
Not very good at articulating it. They need a good copywriter. So it's more about gathering that information together and prioritizing it. And the biggest mistakes in 2021, or the biggest things in 2021?
Oh, both.
I think not knowing how to use your iPhone is one. I think realizing that things are constantly in flux and that you can't, we've talked a lot about pivoting in 2020, and I see a lot of businesses panicking that, maybe Facebook will be taken away from them, maybe Google will be taken away from them, but something else will always appear. There's always something else. We've been around for ages. We were talking about Flash earlier. There was a time when no one could imagine a website without Flash.
Yeah, now it's gone.
Yeah, MySpace was all the rage. It's gone.
Clubhouse is new.
Yeah, WhatsApp didn't exist X amount of years ago. We didn't even have smartphones when I was a girl, 1971, whatever it was. Anyway, something will come along. Businesses will evolve. And I just don't think that we can be fuddy-duddies and say, I'm not going to get into Clubhouse. I've got too many apps on my phone. I'm not interested. We've always got to kind of keep involved and keep fresh and be curious, because if we're not curious, we're going to become dinosaurs very, very quickly.
And so you're talking about things being in flux. Of course, 2020 year was the year of flux. I mean, they talk about how 2021 sounds like 2020 WON. And I like to say that next year will be 2022.
Oh,
So maybe we won't be free until 2023. But,
yeah.
Were there any big lessons from COVID that, because we're still living through it today and we're still in lockdowns and all the rest around the world. So I know you just talked about mistakes, but are there any, real things about COVID that helped and or hindered?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I speak around the world about different topics, and I couldn't for that year. And that was actually amazing, because it made me really go back and focus on the customers I already have, rather than waving my hands around trying to get new ones. And I really looked for ways to try and kind of support my existing customers through, some of them took a real hit, and to try and still be there and offer advice. And I think the other thing is we kind of really started to want to work with businesses whose values align with our own. We had Black Lives Matter, we had a lot of, political and human rights issues going on. And from a copywriting and brand perspective, which is kind of my other hat, I think it was clear that the brands that succeeded were the ones that were genuine, were the ones that went, we made a mistake and this is why, were the ones that kind of showed their ups and downs rather than just tried to be polished and professional. So I think 2020 gave us back a bit of humanity, I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, people discover what was truly important in life. And what you said about, servicing existing customers is true. I mean, it's a well-known adage in business that it's 10 times cheaper to sell to an existing customer than it is to find a new one, because that customer has already purchased from you, already trusts you, already has a relationship with you. And yet most businesses are too busy looking for the new customer rather than satisfying their existing customer base. So that obviously was a valuable lesson that plenty of people still need to remember.
Yes, yeah, totally. And my model is a membership model. So my whole model is based on people staying in the membership and giving them the love and the attention that they need.
And so the value.
It's in the value, exactly.
So what led you to becoming an entrepreneur rather than sticking in the corporate world as so many people, still do today?
You can see I kind of shuddered when you said entrepreneur. I'm still not crazy about it. That's why I call myself a misfit entrepreneur. I mean, honestly, I used to work in ad agencies. I worked at Ogilvy and advertising.com. And it was, I just don't really like being told what to do. And one of the joys of being an entrepreneur is I get to make all my own mistakes and there's no one else to blame but me. I also get to work in my pajamas in my back garden, which is rather enjoyable. And there's a lot of creativity. I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs, but there's ups and downs in a real job. But I guess it's just being the opportunity to be captain of your own ship, I think is really what appeals to me. So, yeah. And,
I always like to ask people, what was their first memory of their first computer growing up?
Oh, I saw this question and I'm like, yeah, we had a Pong. We had a Pong machine. Was it Pong or Ping? The old...
Oh, Pong, yeah, Atari, that's right, Atari Pong. Yeah,
Dad worked at ICL, so I remember him bringing home the first ever Apple Mac, and we could draw on it. And me and my brother used to sit for hours hand coding games into our ZX Spectrum.
Yeah, well, they had those magazines where you could type all the things in.
And then you'd get one character wrong and have to go all the way back through it. And also putting the cassettes in and listening to them go like... Those were the days. Yeah. Kids today don't know they're born. Just being able to turn a game on. I think we spent 2 weeks writing Snake. The one where you could go through the numbers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Best time of my life, I tell you. It was great.
Over the last 20 or so years, people have complained. I mean, people like Steve Wozniak built his own computers. He built the Apple I in his garage. And people have complained that over the past 20 years, kids have lost that. And luckily today, you actually have this whole maker ethos. People are creating things again. Kids can do coding and they have these code camps. So that's starting to come back, thankfully.
It is. I'm trying to get my son into learning Python, which I always thought was named after the snake, but just realized it's named after Monty Python. So Python's my next challenge.
Well, there you go. So how do you think everything's going to evolve over the next few years to 2030?
In terms of technology?
Yeah. And business and, everything that you are doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Google's going anywhere. I think it's going to get more and more sophisticated, but I think we're going to have less and less real estate that we can actually get into organically. I think Google is taking more and more of the space for its own ads. I think voice search is going to be bigger and bigger. You know, we talk to our phones now, we talk to our devices, we'll be talking to our fridge, we'll be talking to, I don't know, our coffee tables before we know it. But I think in a way we're coming full circle. AI is obviously out there, and a lot of copywriters are quite threatened by that. There's going to be these apps that can generate amazing content, and they already are.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that people have, if 2020 showed us anything, and I hope it lasts, it's that people do crave that human connection. Coming full circle back to Clubhouse, I think that's why Clubhouse is such a phenomenon, because people are lonely. And they will do anything to have a conversation with someone and feel connected to this world. So I think we might come full circle back to a bit more humanness in digital marketing and technology. And we won't end up like Terminator anytime soon, I hope.
Yeah, I always like to teach that technology is your friend, you know, there to help you, not your enemy trying to destroy you like Terminator. And I remember back in 1995, you know, I've been helping people with their technology for a long time, and there was an old couple in Sydney that I don't know how they found me, heard me on radio or something, and they would go to their house and they had a little Windows 95 computer and a headset, and they were using those original See You, See Me or ICQ type programs to talk to people on the other side of the planet. And, you know, they were the Silver Surfers, which, you know, people think sort of seniors in technology is something sort of new or different. It's been around for a long time. It doesn't matter what age you are, you can really benefit from technology, but only if you know how. And that's where having a guide like yourself can make a lot of the difference for people.
Oh, yeah, totally. I remember seeing Star Trek a long time ago and remembering them flipping open those phones and talking into them and thinking, imagine being able to see someone's face on a device over the other side of the world. And I remember having that thought, and look at us now. It's crazy, really.
Well,
so who knows where we'll be?
That's right. Dad used to always want to go to the garage sales on the weekend, so I was the guy with the map. I was the GPS unit, and I used to think one day there'll be a box that will just have the map on it and will just tell us where to go. And now it's just built into every phone. I mean, you take that sort of thing for granted. Who buys a paper map anymore?
I know. Let's just hope the matter transporters work. That's the next thing I want. I want a matter transporter.
Now, as we get towards the end of the interview, my second last question is always to ask if you could please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
Oh, gosh. Probably from my dad. My dad is always, you know, about treating people as you want to be treated and trying to be a good listener. And I think in marketing, that's been the biggest lesson for me. I'm not really somebody that looks at my competitors to see what they're doing. I very much look at my customers and listen to them. And then what I make is always ready to use, ready to buy, because they wanted it. So yeah, I think listening and trying to be the kind of business person that you would want to deal with. Yeah, that's from Mr. Toon, my dad. He's a very, very wise man.
So what is your final message to iTWire viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners?
Oh, well, right now it would be get on Clubhouse and come and have a play and enjoy it. But I think what we were talking about earlier, you know, both of us sound like we're utter geeks, and we're very curious and very excited about the world of technology, and not to think of it in the Arnie Schwarzenegger way, but to think of it as a way to, you know, create a wonderful life for yourself. Technology is your friend. I think I'm going to go with your line. That would be my final word.
Well, Kate, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you. I look forward to exploring some of your products and services for myself, because it sounds like there's a lot of things that I can learn as well. You know, just because I know about technology and have used it for 45 plus years doesn't mean that, you know, I can't learn more. That's right.
You're welcome to enter the Tooniverse whenever you feel like it.
Well, I'm sure there's a bit of Looney Tunes mixed up in the Tooniverse, which is good. You've got to have fun, right? You've got to have fun.
You've got to have fun, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you again in the future.
Thanks so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.